Stewart.
It's time now for Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live is a call in radio show educating you on issues surrounding your home. Don't become a statistic. Listen in and find out how you can protect yourself. Comfort Time Live. Comfort Time Live. And now, here's your host, your personal comfort consultant, tackling all of your home comfort issues. Here he is, Tom Platania.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Comfort Time Live here on WSTU 1450. I'm Tom Platania, your host, and it's I guess it's another beautiful day in sunny South Florida. I can wait a few minutes, and think the rain will pass, and it'll be beautiful again. But we had a little bit of rain this weekend, which kind of put a damper on the boating scene. But I guess some of the way the water is drifting south. Hopefully, the Jupiter is going to stay clean and fresh, and St. Lucie, maybe once they get it all cleaned up, we'll have a chance to go back out there and enjoy the reason that we moved to sunny South Florida. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know WSTU, we are new on WSTU. This is our second show here, Comfort Time Live. Now, Comfort Time Live has a website where you can go to learn all types of information surrounding your home. Anything from your taxes to construction to home health to anything you can think of. We focus on that. The biggest thing is to educate you on what the best direction to take, what questions to ask if you're looking for certain businesses or certain things for your home. Let's say that you're looking for a contractor, or let's say you're looking for someone to help you be more educated about what you do in your home, whether it's design or it could be energy savings, it could be taxes. What we do is we bring expert guests on the air to help us figure out what those questions should be and what direction we should take so that, well, we don't become a statistic. Now, what I mean by statistic is if you watch the news, you watch the radio. Actually, you can watch the radio if you're on WSTU or if you're on Comfort Time Live. We actually have live video feeds in there. But if you're watching the TV and the news and whatnot, you'll see all different types of opportunities that have been taken from people regarding scams and fraud. And CNBC has them on all the time. And it's because we don't educate ourselves ahead of time. Sometimes we take advantage of that a neighbor has made a recommendation. And then, well, if Joe's using them, well, he's got to be a great guy. Well, if Betty's doing it, well, it's got to be okay. And a lot of these people, these scam artists, have learned that that's a prime opportunity to get their foot in the door because if they're nice to one person, and then they can get in the door with 5 or 6 other people and scam them. So you have to be cautious, and you have to be able to educate yourself. Now, with us throughout the show today, we have a special guest with us is Dr. Mitchell Kirchner, who is the Healthy Chef Doctor. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks, Tom.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Dr. Kirchner, he's been in this area for a little bit, and he's going to be with us, and he's going to be talking about health and nutrition and what he does to help our homeowners. Because nowadays a lot of us decide to go out to eat. I'm one of those culprits. I'm single guy, so I hate to cook all the time, and I love to cook. But I hate to cook because you get all the dishes so if I have a bunch of people I'm cooking for, I have no problem doing it. But so I go out to eat. I'm sure that's definitely not the healthiest thing to do, right?
Well, let's start off with refer to me as Dr. Mitchell.
Okay.
And yes, I mean, eating out can be healthy once you learn a few techniques.
Okay.
But eating out all the time, one of the problems is, Tom, you just don't have any control over what you're getting on your plate. I mean, you can order a certain meal, but you don't really know how it's being seasoned. You don't really know how much butter they're using in their recipes. So it becomes apparent that, eating out, which is also gets to be quite costly when you think about it at the end of the week and month. So that's one of the reasons I started what I call healthy and simple cooking with a gourmet flair. It's to teach people how making healthy food can taste good and be simply put together.
Good.
but adding that little bit of gourmet so that you don't feel like healthy food is something you have to choke down.
Oh yeah, because I mean that's the first thing that people think about when they're talking. You think healthy food, you're thinking this bland piece of chicken and you know raw broccoli.
Boiled chicken,
Yeah.
steamed vegetables.
Exactly.
Well, here,
I like the steamed vegetables though.
right. Well, one of the biggest issues, because I did a year of culinary school, along with over the last 25 years in and out of restaurants. But you mentioned like boiling chicken. And if you think about what does water do with just about any recipe? It dilutes it, right?
Right.
What if you boiled that chicken in a chicken broth? All of a sudden, you now have a whole lot more flavor. And you can make your own chicken broth. You can make your own
things that make
vegetable
you
broth.
go,
Exactly. And not just in the night. You can do this in the morning too.
Nice, nice, nice. That's good. And see, this is the different things that we're talking about. So we're gonna throughout the show, Dr. Mitchell's gonna help us to understand what questions we should be asking. You know, there are a million different diet programs or healthy things out there. It's we're going to
Where do
talk
you
about
start? Yeah.
where do you start. We're going to talk about where we start as we go through the show. Dr. Mitchell's going to kind of help kind of narrow it down for us and help us to know what questions to ask. And the big thing is when we ask questions is we have to know what answers to accept, because there's so many people out there that you ask a question, you get an answer, and you accept it, and you go on. You don't validate it. You don't do any research to confirm what they're saying. You know, we talk about contractors. Now, throughout the years, we focused on educating people about contractors and businesses as well, because that's a big thing in South Florida. Right. South Florida, Florida in general, is a huge opportunity for contractors to scam people. And the number one thing is when a contractor comes into their home, that they are asked, are they licensed and insured? Okay. Now the contractor says, of course I am. Okay. Show me.
Right.
Show me the license number. Show me that you're insured. They should carry with them a copy of their certificate of liability insurance and workers' comp. They should carry with them a photocopy of their license, because the actual license has to stay at the business. Now,
interesting that you say that, Tom, because I'm a member of Toastmasters, and just last...
What is Toastmasters?
Oh, Toastmasters...
That sounds like it's something I would enjoy.
It's a wonderful organization. They've been around over 50 years, probably closer to 60 or 65 years.
Right.
And it's international. And what Toastmasters is a place to teach people how to have a better public speaking, learn more confidence. One of the things that we do are learn how to use your body, use what we call vocal variety, and learn how to avoid the pitfalls of public speaking, like using ums, ahs, clicking your lips. There's what they call the silent pause. If you're having that moment of trying to think of the next thing you want to say, instead of rambling, take a pause. Just give that.
Well, that's
few
why we
seconds.
do the ums and the ahs, and we're trying to
filling
continue
that
on with the
space.
we're filling in dead air. Yeah.
So I bring that up because just last night, last week, my friend of mine who's in the club, he happens to be our club president. We're out in Port St. Lucie, and he does restoration after damage has been done with water and whatnot. He talked about this very same thing. Check for licensure, and there's a website which I can't remember right now, but I can get that for you. He said, you've got to find out from people what their license is. If they're not willing to show it, you should not be doing business with them, because he has done his company called Code Red Restoration.
Right.
What he tends to do a lot of times is he comes up to clean up after somebody else is supposed to have been there cleaning up.
Yeah.
And that's usually the person who gets there and wants to charge the $2,000 for a cleanup, gets the first $1,000 or $1,500 and says, and then disappears.
Yep.
And then he has to show up, and then he has, of course, to then charge them what he needs to do to get the job done.
And that happens.
So now they're double paying.
Yeah, and it's a lot of contractors. You know, a lot of these contractors will go in, and they'll go in with these low bids. And, of course, the homeowner thinks, well, he's an air conditioning contractor or a restoration contractor, so he's got to know what he's doing. He said he's licensed and insured. Right. Well, he starts the job, and then he scams them. Well, now they end up paying almost twice as much to get the job completed than if they had done it at the beginning.
So the same thing can hold true in healthcare.
Yes.
Just because somebody's out there calling themselves a nutritionist or a holistic healthcare provider. You know, it's not everybody gets good quality training. And of course, as you said earlier, there are hundreds, if not
I
thousands.
watch the Cooking Channel a lot. Does that make me a nutritionist?
No. No. I mean, just to let you know, my educational background, I have 145 hours of clinical nutrition classes, and that was just a scratch of the surface.
Wow.
And that's just the start, because then after that, we have to keep up with continuing education and continually read, because we're always finding out more and more. We're basically just coming out of infancy with our understanding of nutrition and nutritional quality and ingredients, things like supplements that everybody's taking. You know, become a billion-dollar industry.
Right.
So don't you think that somebody's going to want to get out there and get involved by packaging something, putting it in a nice bottle, and charging you for that? But you don't really know what the quality of the ingredients are. That's why there's a big difference. And it's not to say that just because you pay more for it means you're getting more for it. You have to be careful with where you're going to get your products and who you're talking to is recommending those products.
Yeah, absolutely. So do your research. Now, if you're looking for contractors and whatnot for licenses, you can always go to Comfort Time Live, and there is a link that says contractors. When you click on that, I bring you to a link for the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, and that allows you to enter the company's name, the person's name, or the license number to find out whether it is valid or not. And that's very important. One of the big things is you'll find that some of these companies around here, the licenses are from people who are out of town, Tallahassee or South Florida, and they do not deal in the business directly on day to day. That is illegal to do.
I think that website I was referring to, I'm almost positive, was called My Florida License.
Yeah, that's where the DBPR is through.
Right.
Yeah, you start through myfloridalicense.com, and it brings you to the DBPR, Department of Business and Professional Regulations website, which allows you to do research. I myself have multiple licenses, contractor's license, and as of Friday, knock on wood, I'm going to pass my real estate license exam, and oh my God, I've been cramming so hard. I feel like I'm like a sponge absorbing everything, and I'm ready about to.
And that's where a really good meal cooked at home.
You mean not the breakfast that I had this morning? I don't even want to tell you. You'll cringe. You'll cringe. But now remember, Comfort Time Live is part of the Treasure Coast Radio Network. Now, Treasure Coast Radio Network, what we've done is joined forces with a great group of individuals up in Vero Beach, Angela Beccarelli and Brenda Carmona. They are on a Waxy 107.9 and 1370 AM. And we also have WPSL 1590 and, of course, here WSTU. And what we do is try to basically educate the entire Treasure Coast by bringing in different folks like Dr. Mitchell, our experts, to help us educate you anything. I mean, if it's in your home and you can think of it, we want to talk about it, and we want to bring an expert guest. So if you have someone that you'd like us to find or a topic that you'd like us to bring on the air here on WSTU every Tuesday morning, then just you can email us at comforttimelive@gmail.com. That's comforttimelive. There's two T's. comforttimelive@gmail.com. Send us an email. And that's how we've stayed on the air for 5 years at WPSL. Is we've had listeners email us and ask us for topics, whether they wanted we've had attorneys on the air, we've had mold remediation, we've had restoration companies, we've had realtors, we've had air conditioning manufacturers, we've had FPL, we've had H&R Block, and in fact, next Thursday on WPSL, we are going to have the infamous Mr. Jack Kelly, better known as Uncle Jack locally. He's, as of now, unless he gets completely swamped, he's going to be on the air with us September 19th on WPSL at 6 p.m. And we got all kinds of great guests coming up here on WSTU. But tell us a little bit about your background, Dr. Mitchell. How did you get started in nutritional health?
Well, having been born and raised in Miami, I decided that I had definitely had some interest in healthcare. And so I started taking a couple of classes, some cooking classes, and then there was a program at Miami-Dade South So it was on nutrition, and it happened to turn out to be on vegetarian nutrition.
Oh, okay.
And it was the first accredited course offered in the country on specifically vegetarian nutrition.
Oh,
So
wow,
I took it, and believe it or not, at the time, almost within weeks, I became a strict vegetarian, otherwise known as a vegan.
You still are?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I stayed that for about 9 years.
Okay.
Now, prior to that, I was always the last person at the table. I was always, everybody else had not only finished eating, they were cleaning their dishes. I was working out a lot. I was doing lawn service business during the day and working out a couple hours at night. I had packed on some pounds, but a good percentage of it was muscle.
Right.
When I changed to becoming a vegan, everything changed. My body changed. I lost a lot of those extra pounds. And, of course, my family started asking me, is everything okay? Are you? And I said, yes, I'm just eating healthier.
Right.
And it really changed the direction of my life. And
Excellent.
so from that, I wanted to pursue more, and I started looking around at other possibilities. And I said, well, I went to massage school, and I was a personal trainer. And I said, how do I clump it all together?
Right.
And that's where I found naturopathic medicine.
Beautiful.
And that was in 1989 was I started all this, and then in 1999 I first went to school out in Portland, Oregon.
Beautiful.
Finished school and I was born here.
Right.
So I was used to 360 days of sunshine, or at least some component.
Yeah.
To be moving out to the Northwest, where they have 360 days of cloud cover. So I said I had to get out of there. I left there and moved to northern New Mexico. And set up private practice for about 10 years.
Beautiful.
And was teaching nutrition, clinical nutrition to nursing program, as well as anatomy and physiology. So I have a real good understanding of how the body works and why we're going to talk about your breakfast this morning later.
Yeah. Well, if you want to give Dr. Mitchell a call and ask him some questions here on the show, or ask us any questions here on Comfort Time Live, maybe you'd like to bring up a topic of anything to do with your home, whether it's a contractor or anything that you're doing with any type of business, taxes, maybe talking about tax credits on your home, give us a call. You can call us at 772-220-9788. That's 772-220-WSTU. And we have a caller on line 1. Hello, Miss Heidi. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Is there somebody else? Oh, you're talking about Mike and Dr. Mitchell. I'm sorry.
I am.
That's what I figured. I figured that.
Good morning, Dr. Mitchell. I'm very much interested in what you have to say about as far as nutrition is concerned. And you mentioned something about cooking classes. In your cooking classes, do you teach how to cook in a healthy manner as well?
Yes, and we just started a business locally. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, but I decided that there was something missing around here. So I said, how do we bridge the gap between people being told what to do and then learning how to do it without it being complicated or needing to go to culinary school to figure it out? So I've started a series called Healthy and Simple Cooking with a Gourmet Flair.
All right.
And I'm in several locations.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break so we can hear from some of our sponsors, and we'll go into some more detail about that healthy cooking. Miss Heidi, can you hold on the line?
I sure can.
You can. Oh, darn. No, I'm teasing. We love our listeners calling in. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania with Dr. Mitchell, the healthy chef doctor. You're listening to Comfort Time Live on WSTU. We will be right back.
Known for helping you keep that spark, now they'll help you keep cool. Elite Electric and Air, the official air conditioning sponsor of Comfort Time Live, has provided the best in heating and cooling customer service since 1988. If your electric bill is costing you more than 12 cents per square foot under air, you may be overpaying the utility company. Elite Electric and Air can help put that cash back in your pocket. Call Elite Electric and Air with 24-hour service. Dial 340-3797. That's 340-3797.
No one expects disaster to happen to them, but when it does, you can be sure United Water Restoration will be there when you need them the most. They've been helping people put their homes and their lives back together for more than 15 years. With 24/7 service and 45 minutes to your door response time, you can trust United Water Restoration with your mold, water, fire, and smoke damage. Call for a free in-home inspection and estimate at 888-535-4909. United Water Restoration.
$3.2 billion a year are scammed and defrauded from consumers like you. Comfort Time Live, part of the Treasure Coast Radio Network, is here to put a stop to that. Listen each Tuesday beginning at 10 and find out what you can do to protect yourself. Your home is your castle. Protect it. Each week, your host, Tom Platania, and his expert guests will help educate and provide you with the best information to guide you in the right direction. Comfort Time Live every Tuesday at 10 here on WSTU 1450.
Elite Electric.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Ooh, amazing.
Elite Electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie. Elite Electric specializes in all of your electrical needs, from security lighting to surge protection and everything in between. How do you think they got their name? Elite Electric. Elite Electric has been family-owned and operated on the Treasure Coast since 1988, and they're recommended by Comfort Time Live. Visit online at eliteelectricandair.com and learn more about their services. Elite Electric. Service today. Proud sponsor of Comfort Time Live every Thursday evening at 6:05 on WPSL 1590.
No matter what you want, just pick up your phone, say, come on, Elite. And we'll get the job done.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania, your host, and we have a special guest in the studio with us, Dr. Mitchell, the healthy chef doctor. But we still had our caller on the line, the lovely and talented Miss Heidi, who was asking Dr. Mitchell about his healthy and simple cooking. So let's kind of touch back on that there. So where do you typically hold these classes?
Well, again, just starting into the business, and right now we're hosting our class on a Friday evening at 5:30 at the Unity of Stewart.
Okay.
And you don't have to be a member to come. You can just give us a call, which I'll give you the number a little bit later.
All right.
And you could just show up, and they're $25 a person per class, and that includes the way I have the classes structured is that the first 20 to 25 minutes, maybe 30 if I get a little long-winded,
Right.
is educational. In other words, I'm all about teaching people the proper ways to think about food, nutrition, and health. You know, Hippocrates said it a millennia ago. Let food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. And one of the things that I find bringing it back to the house and incorporating the two, it's really important to have your kitchen set up properly. It makes it much easier to function when everything's in place and it's easy to get to and there's a smooth flow going.
Right.
That's one of the things that we do. We actually call it the Kitchen Karma Patrol.
Oh, okay.
We set up where we have an appointment. I come over to the house and help you design your kitchen so that it is an easy place for you to work in.
Oh, wow. That really ties into what we're talking about.
Exactly. So coming back to the classes, the first segment of the class is educational.
Right.
In other words, when we did desserts, I'll give you an example. Have you ever had grilled peaches?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes, they're awesome.
Yeah.
right, you grill that peach, but then you can put a little dollop of creme fraiche on top.
What is creme fraiche?
Creme fraiche is a French-style thick sour cream.
Okay.
But it's got a different flavor. It's really creamy, very nice. Can be used for dressings and sauces and other things like that. So we put a little dollop of that on the grilled peach, and then put a little shaving of some good dark chocolate, and then a couple of twists of some lemon zest or an orange zest.
Right.
So here you've taken a basic, very simply made dessert and made it healthy. And it's going to taste good because who
We're
doesn't
cooking at
like a
home.
good grilled peach?
Now, naturopathic, what exactly is that?
Well, before I jump into that, I'm going to just answer one of Heidi who's inquiring. I also teach the classes at Osceola Street Cafe. That's
Okay.
downtown Stewart, and that's on a Sunday evening at 4:30. And again, you don't have to be a member. That's Sunday at 4:30. We're there too, and we're doing all kinds of things. Everything from we just finished this last week's classes was not your mama's breakfast. because
Probably
getting
what I had this morning, my mom's breakfast.
we have to get out of, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but you have to get out of thinking that cereal and eggs and bacon are the only things for breakfast.
Right.
So we made some I introduced whole grains
Good.
that are not hard to make. Anybody can do it, even a single guy.
Now, with healthy home cooking, I mean, is that basically the concept of what we're talking about with helping people in their home and helping to educate them? And is that kind of the purpose of naturopathic?
Yes. Naturopathic is a holistic approach to healthcare. We believe in the tenets of it's easier and cheaper to prevent disease than it is to treat it later, not even including the monetary value you would put on somebody suffering.
Right, and all the stuff that you're able to do in your home instead of having to go out and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars and prescriptions and medication. And
Right. They asked a question once, and Heidi, I don't know if you've ever heard this either, but, they once say if you asked elder people if they could change anything in their life, one of the responses was, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. And it wasn't about maybe 5 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They just increased the longevity of how long people are staying alive. We are living longer. As an average, we're living into our 80s and 90s. But the question is, how well are you doing that? Because my approach is not about how long you live, but how well you live. So you take better care of yourself today, and that's part of naturopathic philosophy. Do the prevention today. You don't have to go down the treatment hall later. Because I have a little goal, and I'll share it with you, but don't tell anyone. But I plan on chasing nurses around in my 90s.
There's nothing wrong with that, right, Heidi?
Well, I won't be chasing nurses, but I
Well,
wouldn't mind chasing a doctor or
Doctors.
two.
Well, Heidi, there's been some changes. There's some pretty handsome male nurses out there now that are very caregiving, and hopefully they're going to come and learn how to cook at some point.
You're absolutely right. I remember when I work for Weight Watchers, and we have a whole segment on how you set up your spaces to ensure your success, and that is, making sure that the things that that are the triggers, if peanut butter is a thing that is your weakness, you obviously set peanut butter somewhere where you don't see it all the time, and therefore it doesn't trigger you. And so when you say that you set up your kitchen, the same, you come in and you help people set up their kitchens the way that they should so that they can flow easily. It's kind of a natural thing when you think about it, and people don't think about setting up their kitchens to a natural flow and how they can make it easier for them to cook, make it easier for them to find things, make it easier for them to
Stay away from things.
Stay away from things, exactly.
Well, that brings up a really good point, because one of the things that I have noticed over my private practice and working with people in the nutrition field for over 20 years, I have a philosophy. Never take something away from somebody without giving them something in return. An example I use is, let's say we decide that you're drinking a liter of soda or 2 or 3 sodas a day. Well, we decided that maybe this isn't the healthiest for you, especially because I know that there are, and this is not a judgment call, but this is where you might want to look at how this is affecting your health. So if we decide that drinking soda, especially if it starts off in the morning, is not really beneficial to your health, and I've had a few patients go through this, we replace it with something healthier. So why do people drink soda? Well, they like the taste, and they like that little fuzz or that little, the effervescence of it. So how do I take a soda away without leaving you empty-handed? Well, I tell you, go make your own soda. Go out and buy a bottle of seltzer and buy some organic juice and mix your own. Now you've got better control. You're still getting your soda and that fuzzy feeling in your mouth and the textural, and you're getting the complement of a nice sweet drink, but not too sweet because you have more control over it. Because a typical can, a 12-ounce can of soda, consumes or has about 7 teaspoons of sugar, and that's on the lower end. So it could be 7 to 9 teaspoons of sugar per can. Now, if you're drinking 2 or 3 or 4 of these a day, that's a lot of empty calories. You go out and make your own, all of a sudden you now have better control and you still get satisfied.
It's a lot more nutritional, has a lot more nutritional value as opposed to just it is satisfying, but it has some nutritional value, especially if you have organic juice as well. So
Right, and one of the fun things I like to do is, because kids like their soda, and I mean kids of all ages, but I'm thinking about our children at this point, let them make their own. I mean, there was Alice Waters is a chef out in California, and she found that by starting gardens and having kids working in gardens, that they would eat things that they wouldn't ordinarily eat because they grew it themselves.
Have you ever seen that new SodaStream product?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on something like that?
Well, I like the bubbly part.
Right.
I am not real thrilled with what they're adding to it to give it the flavor part. And that's what I mean about, there's ways, especially today, God, with the internet, even with local stores, we have a variety of local stores here that are popping up with all kinds of wonderful things as far as being able to use alternative ingredients.
Right.
You can make just about any. I got to tell you this one recipe. Heidi, I hope you got a pen handy. You ever had a really good, thick chocolate pudding that was actually healthy? Well, here's how this works. I made a ganache. If you've never had ganache, it's basically a combination of a good dark chocolate and heavy whipping cream. Well, I decided to make it a healthier version, and that's what I like to do is take a recipe and just make it healthier. So I replaced the heavy whipping cream with a coconut cream. That's like a creamer. That way, even people who have dairy allergies or sensitivities, they could consume the ganache. But I took this chocolate richness and combined, because I wanted it a little thicker, so I cut in and mixed in a half an avocado.
Awesome.
And that combination
Into chocolate pudding?
into chocolate pudding. Now, the secret is that you don't taste the avocado. It just adds a richness. It adds essential fats, which are healthy for you.
Right.
And if you're only using a half just to thicken up your chocolate, then it's not going to add that many more calories.
Wow,
you're cutting
that's
down
different.
from the heavy whipping cream, and I've had 3 or 4 people try it now, and nobody can detect that there was an avocado in there.
Oh, wow. That sounds... Well, we're actually turn this into a cooking show, Heidi.
I think I'm on board with that.
I know I would be on board with it. I mean, I love to cook. I love to eat, and being able to figure out how to do it. But maybe we'll have to do another show on WSTU and just make it a cooking show.
I like that.
We'll do Wednesday.
I like
We'll
that
do
a lot.
Mondays. We'll do Mondays at 10 o'clock, and we'll make it a cooking show.
There you go.
We'll bring in little
Recipes and some ideas, and of course
stoves and ovens and stuff like that. We'll just actually cook right here in the studio. So we'll put the microphones by the sizzle, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, and eventually we'll figure out a way to get the smell across the
There
lines,
you go.
too.
Smell-o-vision.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that.
Now, Heidi, you are pretty much the backbone of Comfort Time Live and the Treasure Coast Radio Network. Tell us, do you, off the top of your head, some of the valued expert guests that we have coming on the shows here recently?
Well, hopefully we're going to be having one of the Orange Big Box store will be
possibly, yes.
Possibly on, and we have
Jack Kelly.
We have Jack Kelly. I can't go to my computer because if I go to my computer, then because I'm listening on Ustream right at the moment, and I'm talking to you on the phone, so I can't go to my computer, unfortunately, because you know how that happens with when you're talking on the phone.
Multitasking, it's a difficult concept, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I know we do have catering.
Yes, we have Catering Revolution coming on, and they're going to be talking about how you kind of tying in with what Dr. Mitchell is saying is you can produce a recipe, but then you can produce it for 100 people. So it's an interesting concept. And he's trying to get a reality show right now about catering. And we also have...
we're going to have Elite Electric coming on, talking about electrical
and United Water Restoration.
Yep, we're going to have them back on the show. Yep. We got a couple other people that we're looking at. Now, remember, we bring guests on the show based on feedback from the listeners. So if there's anything or anybody you want to talk to, let us know. You can just email us at comforttimelive@gmail.com. And you can just let us know that, maybe I'm looking to renovate my house. Maybe I'm looking to have a big party at my house. Maybe I'm looking to sell my home. Maybe I'm going to be doing a new roof, and I want to find out about, well, what kind of tax breaks can I get? Maybe I'm looking at solar, like we had solar energy on a couple weeks ago. I'm looking at what type of tax breaks, what's the best way to install it. I'm looking to remodel the kitchens. What's the best way to have it flow? So bring those questions to the table, because everybody we bring on the show are based on questions asked from the listeners, and we think outside the box. You talk about a home improvement protection show, but we bring on Dr. Mitchell to talk about, well, as far as I'm concerned, Comfort Time Live is about comfort, and that's why I named it Comfort Time Live 5 years ago, because I didn't want to get myself in a rut and call it Home Improvement Talk Radio, because then I was limited to what I could educate people about. But with Comfort Time Live is, what does it take for you to be more comfortable in your home? Is that taxes? Is it food? Because I know food and alcohol make me very comfortable in my home.
Well, let me ask you this. We
They
talk about
improve your life.
yeah.
I don't know if they've improved my life, but they've
Well, think about this. Let's say you're in somebody's home. There's 3,600 square feet of home or 4,500 square feet of home, and they're having a party. Where does everybody tend to gather?
kitchen.
In the
Absolutely.
kitchen. So, and it's been stated that the kitchen is the heart of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking at this point, especially because people are getting more and more into cooking, and they're wanting to explore more, and they're exaggerating and using more of their palates. They're not as satisfied. People are finding, I want something a bit more gourmet, and I'm even willing to go and learn how. Well, I'm here to teach you.
There you go.
But how do we design that kitchen so that when you're there and you've got 20 friends over, that there's room for everybody to hang out? One of the other things that we're just starting to incorporate is private home parties. Let's say you have 8 or 10 friends that come over, and they want to have one of these little classes. They come over and give a little demonstration, do the class, and then I leave you with a healthy meal. But teach you how to do it. It's not just about, I know how to do the cooking.
Right.
I want you to know how, so when I leave, you can repeat some of the recipes.
Beautiful. Well, if you folks have any questions or comments for Dr. Mitchell, give us a call here at the studio, 772-220-9788.
I'll hang up so that people can call in.
Oh, that's right, because we only have one line here on WSTU. So, yes, Heidi, thank you so very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for coming on. I love the education that you're giving to our listeners. I really appreciate the healthy alternatives to what's out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Have a great day, honey.
Again,
You
it's
too.
772-220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. We're going to take a quick break here from some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Mitchell again about some other things that have to do with nutrition.
Known for helping you keep that spark, now they'll help you keep cool. Elite Electric and Air, the official air conditioning sponsor of Comfort Time Live, has provided the best in heating and cooling customer service since 1988. If your electric bill is costing you more than 12 cents per square foot under air, you may be overpaying the utility company. Elite Electric and Air can help put that cash back in your pocket. Call Elite Electric and Air with 24-hour service. Dial 340-3797. That's 340-3797.
The Sunshine State can sometimes get wet and windy fast. United Water Restoration Group is here to help. As one of the largest water damage restoration companies covering the state of Florida, their team of highly trained water, fire, and mold remediation experts are here to help, arriving at your house within 45 minutes of your call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have a leak, mold, fire, or home damage issue, call for a free in-home inspection and estimate. 888-535-4909.
$3.2 billion a year are scammed and defrauded from consumers like you. Comfort Time Live, part of the Treasure Coast Radio Network, is here to put a stop to that. Listen each Tuesday beginning at 10 and find out what you can do to protect yourself. Your home is your castle. Protect it. Each week, your host, Tom Platania, and his expert guests will help educate and provide you with the best information to guide you in the right direction. Comfort Time Live every Tuesday at 10 here on WSTU 1450.
Elite Electric. We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
Ooh, amazing.
Elite Electric.
Woogie, 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 woogie.
Elite Electric specializes in all of your electrical needs, from security lighting to surge protection and everything in between. How do you think they got their name? Elite Electric. Elite Electric has been family owned and operated on the Treasure Coast since 1988, and they're recommended by Comfort Time Live. Visit online at eliteelectricandair.com and learn more about their services. Elite Electric. Service today. Proud sponsor of Comfort Time Live every Thursday evening at 6:05 on WPSL 1590.
No matter what you want, just pick up your phone, say, come on, Elite.
And we'll get the job done.
We can do it.
Elite Electric.
There's nothing to it.
Elite Electric.
You're listening to WSTU Stewart.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to Comfort Time Live. I'm Tom Platania, your host. And yes, today we are talking about healthy cooking, naturopathic nutrition, and how you can better prepare things in your home. Now, we do talk about all different types of things at Comfort Time Live, but it all revolves around comfort in your home. We are not just your typical home improvement show. I don't want to teach you how to bang the hammer. I want to teach you enough education to ask the right questions, to find the right answers, because 80% of folks out there, they don't like to do things on their own, well, except for some cooking. However, what we do is when we bring people into our homes to help educate us, sometimes we don't ask the right questions. And when we don't ask the right questions, well, we're going to get the answer that individual wants to give us. But if we ask the right questions, we also want to make sure that we're getting the right answers back, and we want to make sure we educate ourselves on that. Now, ComfortTimeLive.com is a place where you can go and find out all different types of information. There's links to just about anything you can think of, from mold remediation to Florida Power and Light energy savings items to electrical to even houses up north with basements. And there's links to the Department of Business and Professional Regulations website so that you can find out if the contractors that you're using are legitimate. You want to be careful with that. That's one of the biggest scams around. Permits are another big thing. You would be amazed at what you need a permit for. Now, that definitely brings up a lot of controversy around this area as far as permits. And, I have my own both sides to the theory there as well. I think they're a great thing because it helps the homeowner to have a third party do the inspection. However, I'm not always too thrilled about how the inspections are completed. I'm not always thrilled about the interpretation of how and what is supposed to be inspected. You have, we typically deal in 4 or 5 different municipalities, and I could ask all 4 or 5 different of those individuals the same question about the same building code, and all 5 of them will answer it differently. They will also answer it differently on how they themselves would go about interpreting and inspecting it. So we need to try to keep conformity, but the one positive thing is that at least whichever way they interpret it, typically it's for the best of the homeowner. And we have a lot of contractors out there that do not pull permits. And why? Is it because they do shoddy work? Well, some of it is. But some of it has to do with the complications of getting the permit. Some of these municipalities make it extremely difficult to get permits. Now, some of them are working on making it a little bit less sophisticated, I guess you could say, and more user-friendly. But we need to be on the same path. And that's some of the other things we talk about. But, a lot of these people, so you need to find out, by law, if you do anything in the home that requires a permit. Now, even if you as the homeowner do the task, if you don't necessarily have to have a license yourself to do it as the homeowner. However, if it requires a permit, regardless, you have to still pull the permit. Now, let's say you go to try to sell your house 3-4 years down the road. And I don't know, let's say you replaced your air conditioning system and the The guy who did the work did not pull a permit. If you go to sell that house and it's found at the time that there was not a permit pulled, you will then be liable to have a permit pulled, have an inspection done on the air conditioner, and have it passed before you will be allowed to sell the home. Okay? And, well, that could get costly because, one, you pull the permit, and it's not going to be just a typical fee. Number two, what if the installation was not done properly? Let's say that there were code things left off, like hurricane straps on the outside unit. Maybe they weren't the right hurricane straps. Maybe there were none used at all. Maybe the proper heater wasn't put in. Maybe the wrong wire size. Now, what can the wrong wire size do? Well, that could cause a fire and burn your house down. That's what the codes are there for. So if these things aren't inspected properly, they typically are a hazard. So that's what the inspections are there for. So you may be required to upgrade your wire, your electrical wire, or downgrade the size of the electrical heater to match the wire size. That could cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, because the contractor who you originally did work with didn't want to pull an $89 permit from the city. Now, I say 89. I think it's right around 89 in Martin County, somewhere close to that. I know St. Lucie's up into $79. And unfortunately, down in Palm Beach, it's a percentage of the total job, which is just insane. The same paperwork. Everything is identical, but it's based on the percentage of the job. It's like 3 or 4%. What if there's no additional paperwork? There's no additional manpower or anything involved. Why would you charge me more? Why not just a flat fee? Well, it's because it's Palm Beach. And it's insane. So there's definitely a lot of people down in that area that refuse to pull permits because you're talking a $10,000 job, 3 to 4%, just for a permit. A homeowner is going to say, I'm not going to pay that. And it just makes some of your costs a lot higher down there than up here. So, but all of these things can be educated. One thing I strongly recommend before you do any work in your home, whether it's simple as changing a garbage disposal to changing anything in your kitchen. Maybe we're talking about, maybe Dr. Mitchell comes into your house and he starts making some recommendations about cabinets, or maybe you should move this here or move that there. And maybe it has to do with some minor structural. You need to pick up the phone and call your local building department and just ask the simple question. That's all it takes. And you know what? The worst answer you can get is no, you don't need it. And then you're safe. And then if he says you do need it and you're going to hire a contractor, now you can confidently say to that contractor, you're pulling a permit, correct? And if he turns around and answers you with no, I don't need a permit, well, now you've asked the question, he's given you an answer, but you've educated yourself enough to know that the answer he's giving you is incorrect. And that's the important thing.
How important is that to have even documented that you did call, you did speak to somebody, that they did say no, you didn't need the permit? So wouldn't that be also a good thing to have in a file someplace saying you did speak to the board?
Yeah, I would document what's your name, your first name, your last name, what's the date, what's the time, and then maybe even ask for, what code states that. And it's probably just a number, and you don't have to go look it up, but just something that you have some validity when you're asking the question. And if the contractor says, "Oh, that's a bunch of garbage, you don't need a code," well, I spoke to so and so at this building department at 10 o'clock, and he told me building code, blah blah blah. Well, the first off, as a homeowner, if the building department tells you that you need it and the contractor tells you don't, I probably wouldn't even bother arguing. I would just say, "Hey, Dr. Mitchell, it's great having you here at my home. I really appreciate the opportunity or your business, but have a great day." Why argue with him? You already know he's lying to you.
I would never do that, by the way, Tom.
No, I know you would. You were sitting here. I didn't want to do Mike. Mike's too new. He's young, but you just had that face of somebody that
seasoned. Get it? See, I always try to apply jokes around food. What can I tell you?
Seasoned. I like that. Seasoned.
Right.
Heidi's definitely seasoned. Yeah.
Hey, watch that one.
Oh, it's so funny the stuff that we get back and forth, because her and I would go to the networking events and everything like that. So she's married 30 years, She's been married 30 years. Her husband is a great individual. But because we're always together, because we're going to these networking events, everybody's like, are you guys together? You guys married? And the stuff we get is just unbelievable. So now, what are some of the main benefits of naturopathic nutritional health for these people? And it's not a medicine. It's just eating properly. It's a healthy way of living. It's a lifestyle.
It's a foundation. As we were taught going through school, food is not going to solve all your problems, all your health issues, but it's a great place to start.
And whatever's left over, Grey Goose with a splash of cranberry just finishes it. No, I'm teasing.
Mike, I don't know how you do it all day.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, when you think about where do you start with health? And when they say how important it is to exercise, I'm going to be working closely with Rosalind's Fitness Studios.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to create a program that's all health encompassing, where you can come in and learn proper fitness for your body, learn assessment and how you're doing and how well your body is, what kind of health you're in. Then we're going to be teaching you about the food and the nutrition and the cooking, and we're going to also be offering support. Because when you're making a big transition like this, food is very emotional, as we know.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times when you're in a bad mood do you find yourself in the kitchen standing at the fridge? And lots of times you'll open that door and you just don't even know where to go. So you wind up opening the freezer door and pulling out that pint of ice cream. Or for you, that bottle of Grey Goose that might be in the freezer. Right? And what I'm saying is that, before you do that, take a walk. Just go for 10, 15, 20 minutes, because what we find is energy is emotional things are energy in motion. So if you're not in motion, because we're sitting a lot these days, we're just not active. In fact, you asked a little earlier before we got on the air, do I have a book coming out?
Yeah.
I'm working on a cookbook that will include these recipes, but I'm also, because of my background, holistic healthcare, I'm also writing a book right now, and the title is a little ambiguous at the moment until we get that nailed down.
Right.
But the concept is how to stay healthy while at your computer.
There you
And
go.
I'm about done.
That's one for me, because I work from home, and 90% of my work when I'm not doing a radio is in front of a computer all day long.
Right. So what kind of foods are you snacking on? Are you drinking enough fluids? And it doesn't all have to be water, but it's
pizza, vodka.
Right. We're going to talk after
Healthy
this
stuff.
show.
Real healthy stuff.
Right.
Hey.
Well, see, now here's the concept. When you think about the rates of people and their health and their body size and their weight, why is it that we are now seeing 34 to 35% of our children who are being classified as obese? Do you know what that's setting them up for later in life? I mean, we're talking about our children, our grandchildren. If they get diabetes at an early age, do you know the increased risk of them having limbs that have to be amputated, blindness, kidney, organ failure? So this is what I mean about, let's change the direction of our health, and let's do it
What number
today.
can people contact you at, Dr. Mitchell?
The website that is in process, we're just getting it developed, will be healthychefdoctor.com, and that's all spelled out. And for now, if you're at any interest in all in the cooking classes, I could be reached at 772-324-9558.
All right.
So that's 324-9558.
All right. Well, it was absolutely great having Dr. Mitchell on the show with us today. Dr. Mitchell, thank you so very much for being here and helping educate us. And we look forward to maybe having you back on the show again and kind of really putting some good stuff towards it. I'm going to definitely want to go to one of these classes. I've been looking for cooking classes a lot. I love to cook. I love to look in the cabinet and think about what kind of garbage can I throw in that pan.
And that's what we teach. How do you empty that cabinet but create a nice meal?
I love that. Well, hey, don't miss, if you want, you can watch us on WPSL 1590, 6 o'clock on Thursday. But we'll be back next Tuesday here on WSTU at 10 a.m. You're listening to Comfort Time Live. Tom Platania, have an absolutely fabulous week.